Hey guys, this is Fia from Fia's Handmade Soaps, and I am back here with a rebatch video. So what I did was I had a big old coconut jar full of old scraps, and I shredded some, and the others that was not too chunky, but some of it was still kind of soft because I kept it in the jar with the lid on. And my soap room gets kind of warm sometimes because there's two radiators in there, and when we turn on the heat, it gets kind of warm sometimes. So, and the heat was on this morning, so that's probably why some of the soap was still a little soft. So I couldn't really shred the older soaps because they were still kind of soft. But I also had some other older soap that I could shred because it was hard enough. But the old stuff, I'll show you. It's like kind of like this, but it's still, it's crumbly, too soft to shred because I can just, roll this into a ball. So with a lot of it at the bottom that's too soft to shred, I just left it in there, whatever. But the ones that was shreddable, I shredded. So it just looked like the last thing I shredded was like a cream color soap, but all the chunky stuff is on the bottom. I usually don't rebatch anything chunky. I shred everything, but these are like all this colors and stuff. These are older soaps, and since they were in that jar and with the lid on tight, they were just kind of soft. So I can't even really shred them without it getting all gooky. So I shredded what I could, and we'll see how it turns out because I like a smooth rebatch. I don't like any chunky stuff. That's just me. Okay, so the crock pot's on high already. I came in here, I shredded some soaps, came in, weighed it to see how much it would be. I realized, it's not as much as I wanted it, so I went up, got a couple more old soaps that, I wanted to shred, did that, but I forgot that I had turned the crock pot on. So the crock pot is in here sitting on blazing hot while I'm in there watching Dr. Pol, Dr. Pol, the veterinary show, and shredding some soap at my own leisure, sipping coffee, and I was thinking, like, did I turn the crock pot on? I was like, nah, I didn't turn it on because I realized I had to shred some more soap. No, I did, and and it's just sitting hot. So for rebatch, you can do whatever you want. Chop it up. I like to shred my soap with a hand cheese grater. Let me show you what that looks like. Something from the dollar store. Nothing fancy. I don't have a solid shooter, but show it to you. This. See, can you see that? Yeah, from the dollar store. It's just a hand cheese grater. Yeah, it can be annoying, especially when you have to grate a whole batch of soap, which I have done with that thing because that's the only thing I have. But I prefer it because if you see these shreds with it, they're small, thin shreds, and it makes the when I'm making confetti soap, you have the nice little tiny colorful curls in your soap, and I really like that. And when you can shred everything good, everything melts down really easily. There's no chunky stuff. So see, all the older stuff is at the bottom. It's kind of chunky, but it's still soft. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm not going to try and go through and shred every little tiny piece of something and hope. Yeah, see, I could just smush that. Yeah, it's really soft from being in that jar. So I just hope it all melts down but this is not for resale. I mean, this is not for sale or anything. Once I make this is going to be for home use because this is a collection of probably every soap I've made when I first started making soap. And try to put that all on the label in your ingredients list. No thanks. No thanks. Trying to go through all my papers, calculate how much, let's say, coconut oil is in every single batch. No. I'm okay with just home use. I'm not writing down anything. And the white soap that you saw that was shredded on top, that actually was my first rebatch soap. And I put a lot of buttermilk in there so it could be nice and smooth and milky. It's just old. I've made so many soaps since then. And I still had a couple left over, so I just shredded it. So yeah, that's a rebatch. That was a rebatch soap, and yeah, put that on the label. I don't even think I really wrote anything down when I was my first rebatch with that one. And I put all that buttermilk in there. I didn't even write down how much buttermilk I put in there. I was just pouring it in there. I was just pouring it in. And it came out amazing, but still. Try to smush some of these chunky pieces. Hopefully everything melt down good. So, now that it's all in there, the crock pot, the ones at the bottom should be already melting pretty good because the stupid crock pot was on for like, it wasn't on that long, maybe 15 minutes for me to shred those other 3 or 4 soaps. So it's on high. Where's my, I have some actual sour cream that I'm going to add in here. Usually I have like a milks, like buttermilk, coconut milk, goat's milk, but I had this sour cream I had bought a while back at Walmart, and I kept it in the freezer for a while because, you know, I did hear a lot of people use sour cream as well, like after the cook and stuff like that, and I want to try it. I did try it in a friend's soap, but in his peppermint eucalyptus, but that soap bothered me so much, I told him to get that soap out of my house like the same day I made it. So I was like, you got to take this home. So he got the benefits of the sour cream. So I'm going to try that in here. I set aside about 3 ounces. I set aside about 3 ounces of sour cream. It was frozen, so I had to melt it down. Ugh, and by the way, sour cream stinks. It does. Ugh. I don't like to eat sour cream. It's just gross. I haven't picked out the color that I'm going to add in yet, or the fragrance. How much soap it was? When I weighed it, it was about 28 ounces. So I am going to wait to see what color this is going to turn out after it melts down. I purposely didn't put any brown soaps in here. Like, I still have some soaps to rebatch. This from my from the Rose Garden soap. I cut the colorful pieces off. I used those colorful pieces in my confetti cake soap, but I kept the brown pieces because if I'd have shredded this up and put it in here, predominantly once it melted down, the soap would have been brown. So there's a lot of tans, there is some colors, whites, so it's a chance that the soap will probably be like a, not gray, but maybe like a murky blue-grayish tan color, maybe. We'll see, because there's not really enough of this in here, so it might influence the color. We'll see. Now, this is about 3 ounces of sour cream, and I usually pour in 1 ounce at a time, but this is, I don't know how this is going to work because this is actually pretty thick. I'm used to just pouring something in there, so I might just dump it all in. I'm just starting out with about 3 ounces, but this is kind of thick, so I'm just going to dump it all in there. Forget it. I was going to like pour like 1 ounce in at a time, but nah, I'm going to just dump it all in. Now, so, because my last rebatch, I think I added, total, I did keep track of how much liquid I was putting in, and it was like a little over 3 ounces. So your soap's in here, the crock pot's on high, you put in your liquid, even though my liquid was a little thick. So what I'm going to do is stir. Usually the liquid would be thinner than what I just put in there. It was thinner, but the sour cream just sitting around, it got thick. So, but you don't necessarily have to have any crazy liquid. You can just add water. This is going to melt down. It's going to become a goopy goop. Yep. the sour cream is just like there on top. But that's fine, because once it melt down, so I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna put the top on, and I'll come back in a while, not a 15 to 20 minutes to a half an hour. So this, put it in, shred it in, add, you can start off with a couple tablespoons or teaspoons or whatever, but I like to add a little bit more than that because it gives it, once it gets all melt down and goopy and creamy, it's just pourable. It's, you know, it's just, I don't know, better. But you don't have to add that much liquid. So start off with how much liquid you want. Me, I recommend starting off with at least an ounce. At least an ounce to pour in there. And, you know, so put the top on. My liquid's in there. And it's just going to do what it do, which is melt down. Now I'm going to come back. I'm going to let this sit and I'm going to check it in about 20 minutes. Because this is a lot of, it's not hard. It's pretty soft soup. So 15 to 20 minutes. It might not be done, but it might be almost done. So, you know, we'll check. And I will bring you back and we'll see. Alright, it's been about 15, almost 20 minutes. So we're going to check again. Now, it cooked down a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I want to try and stir it. And you see how dry it sort of looks? That's why you need the liquid. I think I picked wrong when I picked the sour cream because it's just not liquidy enough. I think it's too thick. I don't know. But I just microwaved the rest of the container. It wasn't a whole container because I used it before. So now since this is just a rebatch for home use, I'm going to just, you know, pour in as much liquid as I want. Because I want everything to be nice and goopy. And, what you, what I was about to say before that, you decide on how much liquid you want to add to your rebatch. If you feel like only a tablespoon is enough liquid for you, because, you know, of course, I mean, it's already cured soap, so. However, no, that's not necessarily true. Mine is cured soap. You could have, you know, just made some soap, some cold process. I think cold process usually takes like a couple days or so for saponification, but it still needs 4 to 6 weeks cure. So you could have, you know, realized your soap is crappy or you just don't like it, cut it, and, you know, realize when the soap is made that fresh after like a day or two, and you want to rebatch it, you don't have to go through the necessary steps of shredding it, because it shouldn't, depending on your recipe, it might not be hard enough to really shred. So in that case, you can just like throw it in there and, you know, put the top on and just let it melt down. And you decide on how much extra liquid you want to add. Now this is just a rebatch to, you know, just to get rid of some old scraps. Now, if you're rebatching because you messed up your soap and your soap is lye heavy, that's different. I don't have to add any extra oil to this. The only extra oil that will be in here is when I go to add color, and I'll just, you know, add like a tablespoon of oil in a cup, you know, mix my colors in and then pour it in here. But if your soap is lye heavy and you have to rebatch because you forgot an oil first, in order to have a successful rebatch from your lye heavy soap, you have to know where you went wrong. If you don't know, rebatching is going to be a really long trial and error for you if you don't want to throw away your soap, which, you know, I don't really like to throw away soap. It can be saved. I've had my very first time rebatching, which was the very first time I tried hot process. I water discounted really heavily because I was so used to cold process. I didn't know I couldn't do that for hot process. So as soon as I added the live water, it took like a second of me trying to stir it, and it just dried up so fast. The lye never got a chance to really dissolve. So after I had put it in a mold and everything and cut it, I realized there was a bunch of like orangish, powdery looking spots all over the soap. And I zap tested it, and it zapped, and it was lye heavy. So, I mean, well, I wouldn't, because it wasn't lye heavy. Everything was properly measured. It just, the lye didn't have a chance to really dissolve properly because it dried, it wasn't enough liquid to really, you know, have a successful hot processing. So, all I did was I waited until it cured. I waited for about, 4 weeks. And I shredded the soap, and that was my first rebatch. I shredded it. You could see all the little lye spots that was in the shreds, but it wasn't a lot of lye spots. It was just like some spots here and there. So after I shredded it real good, it was still kind of soft, not too soft, but yeah, it was soft enough. As I was shredding it, the end of the soap would start to get, you know, kind of. I could roll it into a ball. That's how soft it was. So after I shredded it and I rebatched it and I add like a lot of buttermilk and stuff, it was unscented. It came out to be a really nice soap. But if you're lye heavy, you forgot an oil, you can either throw it in the crock pot right away, and if your soap is still soft, throw it in the crock pot right away. Get the oil you forgot, put that in there. You know, wait for it to cook down and everything, and you'll be good to go. But if you, let me see, if your soap is lye heavy, but you don't know what happened, you measured, maybe your scale is a little wonky, you're not even really sure how much extra lye you actually put in there, that's going to be hard, because you have either too much lye or not enough oil. So if we go to, you know, the mindset saying that you have too much lye, that means you have to add more oil, but you're not really sure. At this point, the soap is not selling. You're not going to sell this soap, because this is going to be a long trial and error for home use, because you don't want to throw away the soap. So you're going to have to add oils. Yeah, you're going to have to add some oils, maybe a couple ounces at a time. I wonder, can you zap test it after it gets melted down? Maybe take a little bit to the side, do a zap test. If it still zaps, maybe you can add another oil. That never happened to me. I'm not even sure. In my mind, something like that, I feel like you would have to, in my mind, this is how it's going. Okay, I don't know where I went wrong. My soap is lye heavy. I probably used too much lye. I would have to add maybe 2 or 3 ounces of oil, maybe 2 ounces to start, just in case. Melt it all down, you know, rebatch it, looks good, remold it, and after, you know, you unmold it, you do a zap test or whatever, it's still a little too lye heavy, then you would shred it back down or just throw it right back in, add, you know, some more of that oil or different oil. To me, that seems like it's going to be a long, it would be a really long process. Maybe there's a better way of actually doing that, but in my mind, that's all I see. That is just trouble. I still wouldn't throw my soap away. If something went wrong and my scales all jacked up, and I probably would do exactly that. I probably wouldn't, maybe I'll just, you know, do a zap test while it was melting down. After it all melted down, I stirred it and it's all goopy, ready to be molded. Maybe I'll take a little bit out, do a zap test. If it still zaps, I probably would add some more oil, I think. I don't know how that would, you know, I don't know how that would work. It got to be an easier way of doing it than molding it, waiting for the cut, do a zap test, re-shredding it or re-melting it down again, add the extra oil. But I don't know, that might be what you would have to do. Shit, I don't know. As you can see, it's starting to get all, you know, it's getting melty. It's looking good. Don't look, this is not, you know, this is, you can leave it like this. I added 3 ounces already, but no, this is, I want more. All right, I'm going to add some more. So, and then after this, I'm going to put the top on. I hate that it's probably going to be some chunks in here. What can you do? So, after another, 15-20 minutes, I can come back and see. What it looks like. If it's not, this is not done. However, I guess you could mold it like this if you wanted to, but no. It has to be goopy. It has to be fully melted. So, yeah, the soap is not even like hot. So I'm going to wait some more and see what it looks like. And see if I'm out of sour cream. I just used all of it. At this point, if I want to add some more liquid, I'll probably get out some aloe vera juice or something. I do have some goat's milk. I might do that. We'll see if I'm going to add some more liquid. I'm going to let this sit for a while. Let's see what it looks like. So pretty much, yeah. I just, I was talking, but you stir it around, add, maybe another ounce. See where it looks. It's still not melted down all the way. So after 20 minutes, it's still not fully done. You'll know when it's done. That's not done. And we're going to wait another 15-20 minutes, and I'll bring you back again. So let me tell you what happened. I went upstairs. I knew I burnt the soap. I had the idea like, while this is rebatching, maybe I can go wash my hair. Yeah, that was like a half an hour ago. Oh boy. Let me see. Yeah, I hate those chunks. This is my rebatch is usually smooth, but if I was actually making a rebatch to sell, I would make sure the soap I'm shredding is, is able to be shredded and not actually have, a lot of people, don't get me wrong with the chunks, a lot of people like it that way. I just don't. I like a smooth, my rebatches are usually smooth, nice and goopy, no chunks, no nothing, because everything is usually shredded, and I put it in the fridge overnight. If I did it yesterday, and I'm not rebatching to the next day, I would put it in the fridge. I said put it in the fridge overnight. But yeah, with the chunks, even though they did seem soft, they then don't melt well. That's why I don't like it. That's why I love the shreds instead. So, yeah, my soap is brown because I decided to go wash my hair like a crazy person. Don't ask me why I did that. I just don't know. So, I have some more melted milk here. Oh yeah. I like it nice and creamy. Now, when you have chunks in it like this, whipping it with a hand mixer, which is, I've done that a couple of times. That's, of course, when everything was really melted and goopy and there wasn't no chunks in it. I guess that'll still work. I don't know. I've never actually had a rebatch like this. That's why I'm glad it's just for, home use. I was just getting rid of all of those old collection of soap ends. I don't really have too many soap ends anymore. That's when I was really shaving off a lot of, the ends of the soap, trying to make it look good. I don't really do that too much anymore. I just leave the soap the way it is a lot of the time. Not, all the time. I'm trying to see if I want to add some more goat's milk. This is goat's milk that I'm just adding. And I'm sure my soap wouldn't be this brown if I didn't burn it because I wanted to get in the shower and wash my hair. So all in all, this is probably not a very good rebatch video, but this is rebatching. It's not hard, this is it. A lot of people say that their rebatches aren't pretty, so but that's why you have to shred your soap really good, and that's why that tiny hand shredder from the dollar store is perfect, because it creates small shreds, whereas your soap would melt down perfectly into a goopy mess the way it's supposed to. When you have chunks like this, like, you know, if you remember from the beginning, the pieces that I had that, you know, that wasn't shredded down because they were too thin. You have chunks like that, a lot of times they just won't dissolve. They'll just stay, you know, in the soap as chunks. You can try and mash them, which is what I'm doing now to see, you know, see how that works. Mashing down a couple pieces. You could do that, but if it's just for home use, you know, whatever. Just use it the way it is. But yeah, that's all. I just wanted to get rid of that jar of scraps that I've had for so long. But my next rebatch will not even look like this, because if I have to rebatch, best believe it will be shredded very fine and not chunky. I can't deal with the chunky look. I don't like it. So good thing this is staying in the house and probably nobody will see it. So, you know, that's why I don't mind adding extra liquid. I don't care. I have so many, you know, different soaps. But, of course, if you don't want all this extra liquid, you don't have to put it in there. It's always a personal preference, what you want to do. It's your world. It's your world, and you make it the way you want to. Okay, so, fragrance. What's my temperature? My temperature is 156. So, I have here, the fragrance is called, what's the fragrance called? Where that bottle at? It's called Red Currant and Thyme Fragrance Oil. But I also added some rosemary essential oil and eucalyptus essential oil. The eucalyptus is taking over right now, but it did that the last time I used it. And after about a week, it dissipated and the other fragrances came out more. So, the fragrance oil, a friend gave it to me. She sent it to me. On it says soapersupplies.com. So, she sent it to me because she didn't like it, I guess. But the smell of it is a really light scent. It's really light. So, I felt like, at first smell, I didn't think I liked it. It was like, because it was really light, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. I wasn't sure about it. So I decided to add, you know, rosemary essential oil, which, you know, bumped the smell up a little bit in my mind. I'm like, okay, it's all right. And so then I decided to add a little eucalyptus and the poor red currant and thyme fragrance oil you can't even smell. That's how light it was, but I'm fine with it. I felt like there wasn't a soap that I could sell with this fragrance because it was just so light. I feel like if I used it in a soap, it would just get lost. As far as after the cure time, I just feel like you wouldn't probably smell it at all. So I said, you know, I have this, you know, bottle. I'll do something with it. So I'm going to add that in here. And when you rebatch it, this is pretty much what you do. Once everything is all melted down and goopy. Woo, that eucalyptus is coming out, boy. Once everything is all melted down and goopy, which it would not look like this. It wouldn't be, my rebatches are usually like really goopy, pourable, and this sort of reminds me of a regular hot process if I'm doing something, you know, after the cook. But it would be really goopy, and after it's all done, you would pour in your fragrance and your color. That's pretty much it, unless you don't want fragrance and color, and you just keep it the way it is. Now I'm going to add some activated charcoal. This is not brown. It's like a, you know, on a darker tan side, so I feel like you can still put some type of color in here. Like if you do blue, pink probably would still come out good. A blue probably would still, I think a blue would really come out good. I'm just going to add some activated charcoal. Where's my activated charcoal? I have some activated charcoal here and some sweet almond oil. What I need to do is, when y'all saw me with the big old bowl of shreds last time, I did that was a confetti soap. But what I don't really have any soaps to rebatch though. Everything is, besides this besides this mess, maybe I'll do a rebatch video with this one showing you exactly how it's supposed to be. Shred it really fine, melt it down and goopy, and go from there. This was just a collaboration of a bunch of junk. So this is my trash bowl right here, pretty much. But you get the idea. If you're watching this, and of course your rebatch might not look like this if you don't have any chunks, as long as you shred it down real good. But if you don't have to if you don't want to. There are lots of people who love the chunky trash bar look, That's what I call it. I don't know, because it's a bunch of collection of a bunch of different soaps that, that you try to get rid of or whatever. But if you messed up a freshly made soap, you should be able to melt it down really good. Shred it. Shred it. Don't chop it into small bits, because the bits might not dissolve. I mean, it might not melt down good. Shred it. And you should have a very successful rebatch. And add, I feel like, I always tell people to add milk. It doesn't matter if you're vegan, coconut milk. If you're not, goat's milk, buttermilk, coconut milk, whatever you want. I feel like milks, it makes things so much creamier. It feels a lot better than just putting in some water. But if you don't like milk, then by all means, put in some water. Shoot, put in some coffee if you like. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to do. I'm just here, to help. Just here to help. So this is my activated charcoal, mixed in some sweet almond oil. So when you see the chunks in there, and when it cures, well, not when it cures, you mold it. After you slice it, you're going to see the chunks in the middle. I don't like that look. Every time I've seen someone post a picture of their soap with the chunky monkey look, I just didn't like it. Even with the confetti, with the chunkiness, I didn't like it. So I knew I didn't like it on my soap. But, hey. I knew it was a possibility the chunks wouldn't melt. So, but if I didn't want that look, if I really cared about what my rebatch looked like, I would not have used that can of, that jar of old scraps at all, because some of them, most of them, I just couldn't, shred because they were just too thin or whatever. I wouldn't have used it at all. If I would have, if I was rebatching and I really cared what my soap looked like, I would use the soap I just made. But if you don't care, you got a bunch of old scraps laying around, and you don't want to throw them away, this is what you do. You just throw it in a pot, put some milk in it, some fragrance, some color. Hey, and you got soap. Now, I want to see... if I add another color, I got some red. I got some red mica from Brambleberry. Let's see what that would look like. Will it come out into a nice burgundy? The red looks pink to me. But whatever, maybe it would, after some cure time, it would actually look really red. But it looks like it's hot pink. That's why I'm afraid to make a soap with red in it, because, especially for a man, because it looks pink. And I'm afraid that it would cure pink and I wouldn't be able to sell it to a man. Huh. So it went from like it wasn't black, but it sort of looks gray. This is my trash bucket rebatch. My trash bowl. Yeah, because I can see a whole nice, a whole big old chunk of other soap in there. Yeah. I have made some really nice rebatches. I wish I had a good editing system where I could, at this point, show you the picture of my rebatch soap that I've made. I don't have a good editing system. I use YouTube, so I can't even put that in there. But if you follow me on my Facebook page, it's up there. You would just, say, hey, Fia, which one was it that you were talking about as your rebatch soap? And I will point you to which one it is. I don't sell it, of course, it's gone. I used it for my cousin's baby shower. I made soap. I didn't like the way it came out. I didn't like the fragrance. It just overall sucked. I waited 2 days to decide on whether I wanted to keep it or not, and I decided I didn't, and then I shredded it and rebatched, and it came out beautiful. I added essential oils. I put some green color in, a little green color. I added gold mica lines, and every time somebody in one of the groups was saying, "Oh, how does everybody's rebatch come out? Mine come out all crappy," and I would just post up a picture of my rebatch soap, like, "Bam, bitch." I'm sorry. I would just be like, "Bam, that's how it's done." This is not a very good video of "Bam, this is how it's done." This is just a bunch of, I done said it 8,000 times, stuff from a trash bucket. And what the hell color can you say this is? I don't know. Like a dusty gray. Dusty gray. Yeah. So let me pull this out quick. Get my mold. Which mold am I using? I guess I use this one. Oh, Jesus. I haven't used this mold, this little thing, in a long time since I started selling soap, because I've been using that 5-pound one. So this little thing, haven't made any soap for home in a really long time. I can say, "Look, honey, I finally made us some home soap," and he's going to look at it horrified. Oh boy. But anyway, you get the gist on how to rebatch. This is pretty much it. Yeah, 1 ounce of liquid at a time, preferably for me, milk. Put your scraps in, or shreds. Wait about 15-20 minutes. Check it, see what it look like. Stir it up. Make sure the milk or liquid or whatever is stirred in there. Decide whether you want to add, maybe another ounce of liquid. I always tend to add another ounce. Toss it around a bit. Put the top back on. Come back another 15 minutes, and not 45 minutes like I did, because you decided to take a shower and wash your hair. That's if you really care about your rebatch. You might not want to go do that like I did. But this is just, I didn't really care about this. So, yeah, after 15 to 20 minutes, you come back, check, stir it up, see if it's done. If it's not, stir it up and see whether you want to add another ounce of liquid or not. Sometimes that extra milk or that added milk helps it melt down evenly, and it just overall helps with the creaminess. That's what I feel. And decide whether you want to add another ounce or so or tablespoon, if you will. Decide that. And if you don't, just and if it's still not done, just put the top back on and come back in another 15 to 20 minutes. That eucalyptus ain't no joke. I only use a little bit. And after your third 15 to 20 minutes or so, it should be done. I cook on high, so turn it up unless you really want to be waiting around for a while. After it's all melted down, it's all goopy looking, turn it off. If you want to get the hand mixer out and whip it, you could do that. Add your fragrance if you adding fragrance. Add some color if you want to. It really depends. The color you pick really depends on how your rebatch comes out. If your rebatch is like brown, that will determine what your color you're going to use. Because if it's brown, you can't really, I guess you can add some titanium dioxide and hope that would help it out. But you wouldn't really want to go with like bright colors or whatever. If it's brown, maybe add a little bit more brown so it's chocolate brown, or just leave it the color it is. If it's gray can sort of be manipulated if you add some purple. I think I added lavender for my coconut oil rebatch. It was gray, and they looked like little stone pieces. I had those little 100% handmade molds, and they were really cute. I just felt like coconut oil was really drying to the skin, so I rebatched it. It was unscented at the time, and after it melted down, it was a gray gooey mess. So I added some lavender mica, and it was a beautiful purple. Had a little shimmer to it and everything. And I added, what is that fragrance called from Brambleberry? Sultry Black Jasmine. Oh, that's probably my favorite soap, and it was long gone. Yes, that was and I whipped it with a hand mixer, so the soap floated afterwards. It was perfect. Perfect. Oh my God, that soap was so perfect. And that's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, comments below if you have any questions. But I'll try and I'll try and get a regular rebatch video, but that's kind of hard if you don't have anything to rebatch. You know, you have to you can make soap just to rebatch it. A lot of people do that because sometimes when you cook it the second time, it comes out creamier. You could do that. Yeah, I have to have soap that's jacked up in order for me to rebatch, which could be this one. You never know. It could be this one. Even though that was all chunky, it was a chunky mess and everything, but it's all in here and solid again. So I just made this today. I could unmold it tomorrow. Maybe wait another 4 weeks until it's nice and hard, shredded up, where everything is completely shredded. And that will be a good rebatch because I won't have any more chunkiness in there. That, you can also do that as well. I know this video is getting longer than it was supposed to be, but that's a really good idea too if anybody's still watching at this point. That's a good idea. If you have a bunch of chunky mess and you know, it just didn't melt down the way you want it, you can do another rebatch. Just, you know, you can rebatch as many times as you want. So put this in the mold. This, you know, it didn't melt down the way I liked. I'm molding it here. I could, you know, of course, if I didn't add any fragrance or whatever, I could actually do that. You know, unmold it the next day or a couple days later. If it's nice and hard and solid, I can shred it up, put it back in the crock pot. I probably wouldn't need to add, you know, any more liquid, but you can, maybe an ounce or so, a couple ounces. You know, I like to add a lot of liquid. It will just evaporate out. It doesn't matter. Add some, maybe an ounce or two of some milk or water or whatever, and your rebatch should come out a lot smoother than the chunky stuff because you couldn't get all the little chunky pieces to shred because they were smaller. But doing it like this, waiting and then re-shredding it to do another rebatch should be pretty successful. That should be, you know, I didn't think about that, but this is just my, you know, trash bucket, like I said, so this is not important to me. But if it's important to you and you want it to look good, just do it again. Unless you don't want to do the work, then, you know, hey, I can't fault you. But thanks for watching. This is Fia from Fia's Handmade Soaps. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe. And I am really sorry this video turned out to be like 45 minutes long. It was not intended to be this long. I talked a lot. And I just hope, you know, maybe someone's, you know, stayed to the end. If you did, thank you so much. And I appreciate you. And see you for the next video. Bye-bye.